I'm Patricia Ezechie, and this is Proactive Empowered Careers, a space for thinking about careers differently, not as something separate from who you are, but as an expression of you and the life you want to live. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Over the last few episodes, we've been looking at careers a bit differently, not just as roles or progression, but as something much closer to you, your identity, your energy, and your life. And as you start to see things in that way, something else tends to happen. You see more of what fits, more of what doesn't, and more of what you've been carrying maybe for longer than you even realized. And at the same time, even while you're seeing all this, you realize that life doesn't suddenly become simple. You still have responsibilities, you still have people who rely on you. You still have financial realities, and you still have expectations and a history. You might also be tired, and you might be holding a lot. So given all of that, I wouldn't be surprised if you were thinking, okay, Patricia, I've been following along with what you've been saying. I can see this now, but what do I actually do with it? And this segues perfectly into what we're going to be exploring today. And that is the idea and the concept of the and. Now, most of us have been taught to think in a very binary way, very black and white, either or. Either I stay or I leave. Either this works or it doesn't. Either I'm stuck or I'm clear. And that's really neat. It sounds neat, it feels neat, but real life isn't that neat or tidy. So this way of thinking doesn't always match how life actually feels. And this is where the idea of the and, the way that I use it, disrupts this. Because the and is what allows two things to be true at the same time. Things in your life can be real, and you still have choice within that. You can feel tired and still know what you want. You can be in a situation that isn't right for you and still decide how to respond to it. The choice doesn't have to be perfect. The choices are unlimited, but they are real choices. And this is because the either or thinking, that binary way of thinking, does something really subtle. It makes everything feel fixed and reduces our options down to just two. And when neither of those options feels workable, it can start to feel like you don't have any choice at all. So it takes your power away. For example, if I can't change everything, then I can't change anything. If this isn't ideal, then I'm stuck. And that's not actually true, because life isn't that binary, and because there are always more possibilities than those two. They're just not visible when you're thinking in the either or framework. It's not that you don't have a choice, it's that you don't see the range of choices available to you. Either or thinking doesn't remove choice, it just narrows it so much it can feel like there isn't a choice available to you. And when you can't see the range of choices open to you, it's very easy to feel like your career is just happening to you. And that's the thing. Your career is not something that simply happens to you. It's something that you're shaping all the time, through your decisions, through what you accept, through what you question, and through what you're willing to act on. And this is why we've spent so much time over the last few episodes on everything we've been exploring so far. The stuckness, the outgrowing, the identity shifts, learning to listen to yourself, learning to trust yourself. We've spent this time exploring all of that because you can't make choices if you're not clear on what you want. And you won't act on those choices if you don't trust yourself. And you won't make choices that reflect who you are or what you truly want if you don't know yourself. Because change begins with understanding yourself, then designing a life that supports that. And all the work we've done here is what allows you to get to this place, a place where the idea of the and isn't just something you understand. It allows you to navigate your career and your life without losing yourself in the process. That's what we've been building here. And that is what sits under proactive, empowered careers and the way that I work. Not just as steps to follow, but as a way of thinking about your career, not separate from your life, but as an expression of it. And that's why the and is so powerful and where it becomes very, very real. Because you might be in a role that no longer fits, you might be in an environment that doesn't fully see you, and you might be in a situation that feels difficult or heavy. And all of those can be true. And you still have choice. And you still have agency. Sometimes that choice is visible, a decision, a change, a move, a step. Sometimes it's quieter, what you stop agreeing to, what you stop carrying, what you begin to question, what you allow yourself to want. And agency isn't just in the big, visible decisions. It's in the quieter, smaller ones as well. In the questions we ask, what we no longer accept, what we choose to engage with, and what we don't. And this is what power really feels like. Not trying to control everything, but how you decide to move through your life and the choices you make to support it. And this is where something really beautiful begins to happen. Because from the outside, it might not look like much has changed, but on the inside, everything has started to shift. And the question stops being, how do I fix everything? And becomes more about, what is the kind of career and life I want to live? Because even in situations that feel complicated, you're still making choices. And the more aware you are of that, the more deliberate those choices become. And that's where the and stops being an idea and becomes something you can actually use in your life and in your career. So if you've been listening to all this and wondering how to begin working with it, the answer is simple. You already have. By being here, by listening, by reflecting on what you hear. Not with a perfect plan and not with everything figured out, but with beginning to recognize this one simple thing. You have more control of your career than you might have been allowing yourself to see. So in the next episode, we're going to start looking at something that shapes this in a very practical way. How you structured your life. Because how your time, your energy, and your responsibilities are arranged in your life has a direct impact on what you feel is possible. So that's what we'll explore together. So for now, just notice this. Where in your career have you been telling yourself you don't have a choice? Where in your career have you been telling yourself you don't have agency? And where in your career have you been feeling powerless? When actually, in all of those cases, you have power, you have choice, and you have agency. That's where this work really starts. So until then, take the very best care of yourselves. And we'll pick up again next week. Bye for now. This has been Proactive, Empowered Careers. If today's episode resonated, Subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss what comes next. And remember, your career isn't separate from who you are. It's an expression of you and the life you want to live.